What if I told you that there is a way to command your reality effortlessly, without struggle, without having to convince anyone, just by adjusting one simple thing within yourself? There is a mind control technique so powerful that when applied correctly, it can create noticeable changes within the next 24 hours. This is not magic, nor is it an empty promise. It is science applied to spirituality. The truth is that your reality is always responding to the frequency of your subconscious mind. And there is a shortcut, a secret code, capable of accessing this deep level without resistance. In this video, you will discover how a single question asked in the right state can open invisible doors and accelerate the path to the life you want. Before we continue, comment below. I command my mind and my reality obeys me. Write this phrase to activate the frequency of the video and attract more power to your journey. Jacobo Grinberg, a Mexican neurophysiologist and one of the boldest minds of the 20th century, dedicated his life to the study of consciousness, mind, and reality. Unlike traditional scientists, Grinberg ventured beyond the visible, exploring energetic fields, spiritual traditions, and the way thought shapes the physical world. His theory of the neuronal field proposes that the reality we perceive is not objective, but rather a projection of each individual's mental structure. In other words, the world you live in is a reflection of what you believe to be true. This vision finds support in recent discoveries in neuroscience and quantum physics. The subconscious mind, highly impressionable, is the foundation of your life experience. And there is a loophole in this system. Precisely formulated questions, asked in altered states of consciousness, have the power to reprogram your deepest beliefs without resistance. Today, this bridge between science and spirituality is validated by real phenomena, quantum jump experiences, and even studies on the mere measurement effect, showing how simple questions can powerfully change decisions and behaviors. And this is where your journey begins, learning to speak to your mind in the only way it never ignores. We live in a world that appears solid, predictable, governed by unchangeable physical laws. But what if all of this were an illusion? What if the reality you know were only a reflection of the structure of your mind? This is exactly what Jacobo Grinberg dedicated his life to investigating. And what he discovered challenges everything we believe to be real. Grinberg developed the theory of the neuronal field, a revolutionary proposal that claims what we call reality is, in fact, a projection of our brain activity. According to him, there is an invisible, universal field of information containing all possibilities of existence. The mind, in interacting with this field, selects which aspects of reality become perceptible. In other words, what you live is filtered, decoded, and presented based on the inner structure of your consciousness. This means that two people can live in completely different worlds, even while inhabiting the same physical space. It is not coincidence. It is perception shaped by belief. And more, Grinberg proposed that this field not only projects reality, but also responds to our vibrational frequency. Thus, when you change the way you think and feel, you alter what is reflected back to you by the field. This is where we enter the realm of manifestation. It is not about attracting something from outside, but about tuning your mind to the reality that already exists in potential. When you shift your inner field, you literally tune into a new version of the world, the one where what you desire is already true. This idea resonates with quantum physics, which demonstrates that the observer influences the behavior of matter. The famous double-slit experiment revealed that subatomic particles change their behavior when observed. In other words, consciousness shapes reality. Grinberg understood that the brain is not only a receiver of stimuli, but also a generator of experiences. And here lies the secret. If you want to transform your life, you must start with the way your mind organizes the world. You need to alter the structure of your perception. This is why many traditional manifestation techniques fail. They try to force change on the external without reconfiguring the internal. But if reality is a projection of your mental field, the only way to change what is outside is to transform what is inside. The good news is that you don't need to understand all the neuroscience behind this to access this power. You only need to begin relating to your mind as the true command center of your reality. And when you start using the right tools, like specific questions, conscious breathing, and altered states of perception, you activate this field and begin to see almost immediate results. Reality is not out there. It is within you, waiting for a new command to reorganize itself. Most people believe their decisions are made rationally, consciously, logically. But the truth is that over 90% of your life is directed by something you rarely notice: the subconscious mind. Silent, invisible, tireless, it works behind the scenes, shaping your perceptions, behaviors, and, above all, your external reality. The subconscious mind is like a hidden operating system. It stores everything you have ever lived, heard, felt, and believed. Through these memories, it creates filters that determine what you perceive, how you interpret situations, and what you consider possible. In other words, it not only influences your life, it constructs it in real time. One of the brain's most remarkable systems is the reticular activating system, RAS. It is responsible for filtering the information that reaches you, deciding what should be ignored and what deserves your attention. But here is the most important point. The RAS obeys what your subconscious mind considers relevant, and what it considers relevant is defined by your beliefs. If internally you believe that money is hard, the RAS will literally ignore financial opportunities in front of your eyes simply because they don't fit your internal pattern. If you believe that no one values you, the RAS will focus on behaviors of rejection and overlook gestures of care and recognition. That is why so many people keep repeating the same patterns: toxic relationships, financial difficulties, feelings of inadequacy. Not because these things are inevitable, but because the subconscious mind is continuously recreating the same reality, obeying an invisible and silent program. And here's the most curious part. This program is not necessarily true. It is only the result of repetition. Beliefs formed in childhood, unprocessed traumas, phrases you heard hundreds of times, all of these settle as truth and begin to rule your life unquestioned. But here is the key. The subconscious can be reprogrammed, and one of the most effective ways to do this is through what you ask yourself. Unlike affirmations, which are often rejected for not seeming real, questions have the power to bypass the mind's resistance and trigger a search process. When you ask yourself, for example, "Why is my life improving so quickly?" your mind automatically enters an investigative state. It looks for evidence, reorganizes perception, reinterprets events, all to close the loop initiated by the question. This is how, little by little, a new reality begins to emerge. You don't change your life with force, but with direction. And when you learn to direct your mind consciously, the external reality has no choice but to adjust. The subconscious mind does not argue with you. It obeys. And what you silently cultivate within inevitably becomes the landscape of your life. Most people try to manifest changes from the wrong place. They say what they want, write lists, make affirmations, but all of this comes from a limited identity that still sees itself as distant from what it desires. And here lies the mistake. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you are. Manifestation doesn't happen through words alone. It happens through identity. And the more you align with the version of yourself who already has what you desire, the faster reality reorganizes itself to confirm that vibration. This is the foundation of what we call the God state. The God state is a higher level of consciousness where you are no longer asking, desiring, or waiting. You are affirming, feeling, and living as if it is already true. In this state, there is no doubt, no effort, no resistance. There is only certainty. You don't say, "I hope it happens." You affirm, "This is already mine." This state is not arrogance. It is alignment with your creative nature. All spiritual traditions speak of this in different ways. Jesus said, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Neville Goddard taught that the key lies in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Jacobo Grinberg saw this as the ability to alter the neuronal field by embodying a new structure of perception. In other words, when you enter the God state, you change the structure of your mind to reflect the world you want to inhabit. You are not trying to manifest something, you are embodying the person who already lives it. And the universe responds to this identity as an inevitable reflection. But how do you access this state? It all begins with presence, conscious breathing, inner silence, focus. You disconnect from external noise and dive into the center of your awareness. From there, you activate elevated feelings, gratitude, certainty, peace, power. And at that moment, you begin to ask questions that arise not from lack, but from abundance, not from fear, but from faith. Questions like, how is it so easy to live this new reality? Why is everything falling into place so perfectly now? Who am I now that I have already received everything I wished for? These questions are not pleas. They are disguised commands, and your subconscious responds as if everything were already real. This is the moment when the magic happens. Your frequency shifts, your perception shifts, and your reality begins to mirror this new version of yourself. The secret is not chasing your desires. It is becoming the person for whom those desires are already natural. And the longer you remain in this state, the faster the evidence begins to appear. Small signs, synchronicities, inner and outer changes. In the God state, you don't ask life for permission. You take your place as its co-creator. If there is a tool capable of bypassing all defenses of the subconscious mind and reprogramming your reality more effectively than any other, that tool is the question. Unlike affirmations, which often clash with internal beliefs and trigger resistance, well-formulated questions bypass the ego's defense system and activate a silent, deep, and infallible search mechanism. The human mind cannot tolerate open loops. When you ask a question, the brain enters a cognitive loop state that only closes when it finds an answer. This phenomenon is so powerful that science has given it a name: the mere measurement effect. Several studies have shown that simply asking questions about a future action, such as, "Will you exercise this week?" already significantly increases the likelihood of the person actually doing it. The question alone initiates an inner movement that changes behavior. Now imagine what happens when you direct this same mechanism toward your manifestation. When you ask, "Why is everything flowing so perfectly for me lately?" Your mind does not respond. It's not. It responds, "Let me find an explanation for this." And in that moment, your internal system, thoughts, emotions, perception, and even your body chemistry begins to seek coherence with the question asked. Your reality begins to reorganize itself to align with the most logical answer. And the most logical answer is, everything is flowing, yes. The beauty of questions lies in their ability to avoid resistance. When you affirm, "I am rich," but deep down you feel you are not, your subconscious rejects the message. But when you ask, "How is my income growing so quickly lately?" there is no confrontation. There is curiosity. And it is this curiosity that activates the neuronal field to explore new possibilities. Moreover, the continuous use of these questions installs a new identity within you. because the more you ask, as if you were already living that reality, the more you begin to feel like someone who already does. And feeling, as all spiritual traditions teach, is the direct channel to manifestation. The right questions are not asked by those who hope. They are asked by those who have already assumed the result is inevitable. You don't ask, will it work? You ask, what else can I do with all this success I am living now? You don't say, why does nothing work for me? Because that commands your mind to look for failures. Instead, you ask, how did everything begin to work so perfectly from this moment on? The right question has the power to reformat your identity, shift your vibration, and command your reality effortlessly. Each question is a seed planted in the fertile soil of the subconscious mind. And sooner or later, it germinates. Ask as if you already have, and watch your reality respond as if it were already yours. There is a moment in the day when reality becomes more malleable, the subconscious more receptive, and the field around you more sensitive to your intentions. The 60 seconds before sleep, this small interval, often wasted on worries or distractions, holds a transformative power capable of rewriting your destiny, literally during sleep. This state is known as hypnagogic, the transition point between wakefulness and deep sleep. It is when the brain stops operating in beta waves, associated with logic and analysis, and begins transitioning into alpha waves and finally theta, the same dominant waves in childhood when we absorbed everything as truth. In this state, the conscious mind relaxes and the subconscious becomes completely exposed, ready to accept any suggestion with full force. Jacobo Grinberg recognized this space as a gap in perception, a moment when the neuronal field is most susceptible to the influence of consciousness. Similarly, Neville Goddard taught that the mind, as it falls asleep, accepts as truth everything that is intensely felt during this transition. In other words, what you feel and visualize before sleep shapes the reality you will encounter upon waking. The 60-second technique is simple, but requires intention. It begins with a relaxed body, closed eyes, and directed mind. You don't just repeat a phrase or think of something you want, you embody the version of yourself who already has it. And in that state, you ask a single powerful question, not to obtain an immediate answer, but to install a deep command in the subconscious. Examples: how did everything start going so right after today? Why is it now so natural to live in abundance? What makes this new chapter of my life so light and prosperous? When you ask this question, you must feel the answer as if it were already true. Visualize the scene, imagine the colors, the sounds, the environment, feel the relief, the gratitude, the joy. Let this vibration expand until you fall asleep within it. This detail is crucial. You need to fall asleep immersed in this identity. Do not interrupt the process with random thoughts. Do not allow your mind to return to worry. Let the emotion of the fulfilled desire be the last thing your awareness touches before surrendering to sleep. By repeating this process for consecutive nights, your subconscious begins to accept this new version of you as reality. And naturally, your perception, your behaviors, and external events will begin to reflect this change. This is not magic. This is conscious access to the most vulnerable and creative moment of your mental system. The sleeping mind is not passive. It is a powerhouse of creation. Use the next 60 seconds before sleep as a sacred ritual. In this brief instant, you are not just dreaming. You are programming the reality that will unfold when you wake. Manifestation is not a linear, slow, or random process. When you understand how reality responds to your frequency, you realize that major changes can happen in a surprisingly short time, even within the next 24 hours. This doesn't happen by luck or coincidence. It happens when you step into full vibrational alignment with what you desire and allow the universe to respond. Manifesting in 24 hours is not about creating something from scratch, but about tuning into a timeline where it already exists. Quantum physics already suggests that multiple realities coexist, and when you change your internal vibration, you don't force a new reality. You shift frequency and access another version of yourself, where what you desire is already present. For this, the first step is to release anxiety. Wanting something desperately sends a message of lack, and the universe, being a reflection of your vibration, responds with more waiting, more obstacles, more distance between you and what you want. On the other hand, when you assume the identity of someone who already has it and act with calm, clarity, and confidence, reality accelerates to match that state. The second step is to recognize signs of alignment. Often, the first signs don't come in the form of final results, but of small synchronicities, an unexpected message, an improbable encounter, an insight that appears from nowhere. These are confirmations that the field is reorganizing. When you acknowledge and celebrate these signs, you amplify your frequency of reception. The third step is to act like someone who already lives it. This doesn't mean forcing false behaviors, but making decisions that align with your new identity. If you desire prosperity, take care of your money like someone prosperous. If you desire love, treat yourself with the care and respect you expect from another. Action in coherence is a way of consolidating the vibration and proving to your subconscious mind that this new reality is real. But there is a final element, perhaps the most important: opening yourself to the unexpected. When you manifest something, the how and the when are not your responsibility. They belong to life, and life has infinitely more creative ways than your conscious mind could ever imagine. That is why you must release control. Allow yourself to be surprised. Today, by applying the technique of powerful questions, accessing the God state, and sleeping in alignment with your new identity, you will initiate a vibrational shift. And if you maintain this state with faith and lightness, within the next 24 hours, something will change. A sign will come, an opening will appear. A confirmation will show up, because the universe does not resist a coherent field. You are not waiting for your reality to change. You are activating the internal code that compels reality to respond. And the response time, it starts now. Now that you have understood the hidden power of your subconscious mind and how to use intentional questions combined with the God state to reprogram your reality, it is time to act. Understanding is not enough. You must apply, and apply with intention, presence, and consistency. Today, before you go to sleep, set aside 60 seconds to practice what you have learned here. Relax, take a deep breath, enter silence, feel like someone who already lives the life of your dreams, and then ask with authority, what is revealing itself now that proves everything has already worked out for me? Feel the answer in your body and fall asleep inside that vibration. And tomorrow, stay alert. Something will happen, a sign, a movement, a confirmation that you are on the path. When it happens, acknowledge it, give thanks, and continue. You are co-creating with the universe. If this content awakens something inside you, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share this video with someone who also needs to remember that they have the power to shape their reality. And don't forget, comment below with your favorite question. Mine is, what is aligning right now that I could never have planned so perfectly myself?